Hello everyone, I'm Leah Lindemann. Welcome to the launch of my brand new YouTube channel. Well, it's not brand new, but I'm relaunching it under a proper name, which I'm giving it pen to paper. Basically, all the creative juices flowing from the pen in your hand to the paper. Whether you write nonfiction, fiction, poetry, I hope that this channel delivers a lot of insightful help to you. So, looking back at 2020, it was quite the year for all of us. And whether we've dealt with health issues or not, there were a lot of uncertainties, even in the writer sphere. And yet, looking back at my 2020, I realized that I actually accomplished quite a bit despite all the uncertainty going on. And that's because I had laid down some goals for myself, which I was very determined to accomplish. So if you're a writer, maybe you're a seasoned writer, maybe you're just starting off, but it's really important to have goals for the new year. It could be 6-month goals, yearly goals, 5-year plan goals, but you need to put down some goals that you can shoot for. And not lofty goals that really seem out of your range, but goals that you feel you can manage. So I'm going to share some of my goals for this year. And I've tried to pick goals that don't just have to do with writing specifically, like the craft of writing, but everything else that goes along with writing. So I will share, as I share point by point, you'll see what I mean. So my first goal is to publish the new book that I'm working on at the end of the year. I'm hitting for November. I think that's a pretty good goal for myself, despite having 5 kids with another on the way coming in February. And yeah, so there's just a lot going on. But if I write every day a good 1,000 words, I think I can do this. So yes, my new novel is in the same series as these two, which is the Canadian Reminiscence series. And each book in the series is based on a different province or territory of Canada during a certain historical time period. I'm a historical fiction author, if you didn't know. And this novel is set in the Northwest Territories during World War II, during the building of the Canal Pipeline, where the American Army was here, beginning the pipeline, so they could bring fuel to their bases in Alaska under the threat of a Japanese invasion coming from the west, from the Pacific Ocean. So this is a tidbit of history that I dug up just actually by reading a history book on personal stories from World War II. And I had never heard about this before, and I thought it was very interesting. And it just captured my attention. So this is the novel I'm writing, and I'm planning to at least finish the first draft in 3 months, and then put it aside for 2 weeks, and then do all the rewrites and the edits, and then hopefully have it ready for publishing at the end of the year. That's the goal. So that's my number 1 goal, to do specifically with the craft of writing. Kind of something that goes along with it, number 2 is finding more beta readers to read my book before publishing. It's so important to have beta readers read your work before you do your final edits. I usually use them for content-wise. I have a pretty good eye for grammar, although 1 or 2 of them have a good eye for grammar as well, and they're usually very faithful in pointing out things that I perhaps have missed or need to work on, and I'm so grateful for that. But I also enjoy beta readers who just read the content and let me know if I'm missing something story-wise. So maybe a scene doesn't quite fit, or it doesn't work, or they don't understand a certain setting, or a character needs to be more developed. Usually I'll do my first or 2 edits on my own, so I'll let myself catch those things, and then I'll send it out to beta readers to take a look at it. So I do have probably 4 or 5 solid ones, but I would like to add maybe 3 more to the mix, just to really get all those diverse point of views that I think could be very beneficial to the editing process. So that is my goal number 2. Third goal is to finish a social media course that I began actually at the beginning of last year. And you would ask, why do you have to take a social media course? Well, whether you're a self-published author or a traditionally published author, you have to promote your own book. Especially self-published, you don't have all the resources that big publishing houses do. But even if you are with a big publishing house, they do expect you to put out your work and to have social media accounts and a following, and to give content and resources to your following so that you can keep your following. It's a business for them. And as a self-published author, it is a business for you as well. So I do have a good basic knowledge of social media, maybe a little bit more, but there's always something I can learn. So I started my social media course at the beginning of last year, but I never finished it, which for me is completely unacceptable. If I start something and I know it has value, I have to finish it. And because 2020 was a year where I was kind of taking a step back in terms of social media, just to really take advantage of what COVID has brought about, more time with family, more time to process, more time to meditate and think about what's really important in life. I took a step back from social media, but this is a new year with new goals, and that's my dog. That click-clacking that you hear is my dog's paws on the floor. Okay, she stopped. Good. So I want to finish that social media course, make sure I have every resource that I need to excel in that area of the writer's life, because like it or not, it's something I do need to balance with my writing. Number 4 is one that really should have been done a long time ago, but I'm excited. It's a new year, so I am determined to do this, or to get this done. It's an audiobook. Now, I've actually already put together an audiobook for my first book, Redeemed from the Ashes. And it's not just me narrating it, although I do narrate it, but I actually did get voice actors to come in and do all the different parts. And when we did it, we had a blast. We would actually just be in each other's homes. This is way before COVID, with putting blankets up on the walls to buffer the sound. We had a mic, and we had so much fun doing it. There are so many bloopers available that I'm going to have to make that a part of the audiobook. But once it was done, I kind of just let it fall. I did go back to it several times to edit it, but it's not something, it's a technical aspect that I don't see myself making the time for. And that doesn't mean that the project has to end there and then. There are lots of people out there who I could find, I just have to find them, to actually edit the audio work that we've done and to put together files that are ready to go and upload to. I'm going to use Findaway Voices. I've heard that Findaway Voices is a good platform. Audible, I've heard some things about it that I'm not too sure right now if I want to go with them, and perhaps they can actually, JOANNA, who is a self-published and traditional published author, has a great video about that, which I can put in the description below. But yeah, I'm going to use Findaway Voices, but I just need to get it done. Not only for myself, but also for those people that have put the time and energy into actually putting this work together. And because audiobook markets are soaring and expected to boom, it has already been booming in the last few years, but it's something that just really needs to get done. So I'm going to try to find someone with some technical savviness to put that together, to edit it on my behalf, and have a finished product that I can put out to you. Maybe you're an audiobook listener. Maybe that's something that really speaks to you. And that way it's available. And then that way I can actually start on the audiobook for my second book, Wisps of Gold, which would be a lot of fun to do. So I'm looking forward to that. And my last one is to read more books this year. So in 2019, my goal was to read 20 books, which I barely made it because I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a system where I was reading every day and actually reaching the goal. And then I read a book, High Performance Habits by Brendon Burchard, and that book completely transformed several different areas of my life. I highly recommend it. If that's something that you feel you need to excel in this year is personal growth, Brendon Burchard is an amazing coach and author for that. So I highly recommend that book. But in his book, he was talking about how he had, I'm not sure how many books he would read in a year, but then he would just work backwards. So if, let's say he wanted to read 40 books in a year, well, one book per week, how many pages does a book have? And then you just divide that by 7 and make sure you read those pages in a day, which is, I know, it sounds so simple. It's basic math, but it's something I just never thought of and I didn't think to do. So when 2020 came, I was like, yeah, I'm going to do 40 books because there's 52 weeks in a year. So 40 books in a year, I thought was reasonably, like I could really manage that. And I did, and I even went beyond 40. I did 42, 43 books, which I basically used that principle. A book per week, how many pages in a book, divided by 7, or even chapters in a book, divided by 7. Read that many chapters or pages a day, and voila, I have books down. So why is it important to make reading a writer's goal? I mean, writer, reading, but maybe you understand this already. Those two are super intertwined. As a writer, you want to be reading good literature that's going to inspire you, that's going to help you have your own imagination running, but also you want to be learning from other great writers. And so this is why a reading challenge is so important to me. So yeah, I'm going from 40 books from last year to 50 books this year, which is still manageable because if I do a book a year, there's 52 weeks in a year, 50 books, it's pretty good. So I did 2 books a week sometimes this year because I was actually behind 7 books, like 7 books in the challenge mid-November. So I was like, oh no, I have to finish this. So I actually doubled down and did 2 books a week for a few weeks, and then I was able to get back up to where I was supposed to be. But yeah, this year I want to add more nonfiction to my reading list. I do read a little bit, but I'm definitely more a fiction reader at heart. And so nonfiction I think will be very helpful, especially personal growth nonfiction. And also what interests me is theological books as well. So I want to add a few more of those to my reading collection this year. And for sure going back to the classics, my first love, Jane Austen, Charles Dickens, Robert Louis Stevenson. Actually here I have a bunch of beautiful classically leather-bound books, and that's something I want to go back to this year because that's what inspired me first and foremost to become a writer, was reading the classics. So it's important to get back down to my roots. So those are my writer's goals for 2021. If you are a seasoned writer and you haven't done writer's goals, I highly suggest you do. Even if you are not a seasoned writer and this is like your first foray into the writing sphere, please set yourself some goals that you know you can accomplish in a year that are manageable for your situation, the time that you have to give to it. And please share below. I would love to hear what your writer's goals are for this year. It's a new year, the new sense of purpose that we all feel. I think we're all feeling a little bit more positive about this year too. So let's share and be excited for what we want to see happen in our lives and in the world around us, and how we can serve each other in our communities through our writing, through other ways, and just wishing you all the best. If you like the video, please hit the like button below and subscribe to this channel, ring the bell, and you can expect a video from Pen to Paper every Wednesday, every week.